Despite a history of dominating Europe, England suffered painful setbacks between 1200 and 1260, as one weak king after another surrendered their provinces on the continent to France. But in 1330, the resourceful young Edward III came to power, and now, in 1336, England is plotting the reconquest of her ancestral French provinces, even while dealing with an invasion from Scotland and working to forge alliances with the other great states of Europe. The Capetian kings of France were humiliated in 1154 when their vassals, the Plantagenets, ascended the English throne and took numerous rich provinces with them. Now the House of Capet is dead, and the House of Valois has risen through the family intrigues of King Philip VI. Their goal is, as ever, to forge France anew, and perhaps even rebuild the fabled empire of Charlemagne. With the Pope in their pocket and law on their side, how can they fail?
The plague is coming. As a noble in your king's service, you must get ready to face the impending pandemic. Visit your towns to develop your industry and oversee improvements. Within a few months, prepare to defend your holdings from enemy raids. Soon you can start to cautiously expand, but beware of rival lords from your own kingdom until you are powerful enough to fight for the throne.
With the Reconquista in full swing after the conquest of Cordoba in June 1236, Mohammed I Ibn Nasser aligned Granada with Ferdinand III of Castile in 1246, thereby creating a tributary state, or taifa, under the crown of Castile. It has been a tributary ever since, but his son, Emir Mohammed II, may have more ambitious plans to reverse the fortunes of the Reconquista. With war looming between France and England, the ensuing chaos may give him the perfect opportunity to turn on his Spanish allies and reclaim the peninsula for the Moorish people. Protecting the papacy when the Roman Empire fell, German kings were granted the title Rex Romanorum. In 1336, they are crowned emperors in their own right, chosen by their own German nobles. With Pope Benedict a prisoner of France, Emperor Louis IV must bring all of Europe under the protection of the Holy Roman Empire, even while the princes who elected him plot to rob him of his power, and foreign kings break their treaties to grab imperial land. the Roman Empire collapsed, the Burgundians migrated in from the north. Upper and Lower Burgundy were united in 933, but in 1004 they were annexed by Robert II of France. Robert's younger son was made Duke of Burgundy, and, as a Capetian, he remained independent even when the Valois family took control of the French throne. Now, in 1336, Odo IV wears the Capetian crown in Burgundy, and may very well emerge as a rival power. A major war is on the horizon, and allying with English could be just what Burgundian lords need to expand their realm. Forged while defending the shattered remnants of Christian Rome, Castile earned its name from the famous line of castles on her border with the Umayyad Caliphate of Cordoba. When Ferdinand III inherited the throne of Leon in 1230, Castile saw a chance to unite all Iberia into a single Christian realm. Now, in 1336, with France and England at each other's throats, her opportunities for expanding in the north as well as in the south are ripening. Perhaps all Europe would be better off under Castile's enlightened rule. Austria first appeared in 996, but by 1156 it had been given the status of a duchy and, in 1278, came under the rule of the Habsburgs. They took their name from the family fortress, Habsburg Castle, and their house grew in dynastic power until, on and off from the late 13th century, their heirs were being crowned kings of Germany. That hunger for imperial power may need to be assuaged again soon. Conflict with the Kingdom of Bohemia to the east is looming. For if Austria is to lay claim to the empire, more provinces and lords must first be taken from its neighbors. At the end of the 9th century, the region of Portugal, between the rivers Minho and Douro, was freed by King Alfonso III of Asturias. In 1128, the Battle of São Mamede made Afonso Henriques Portugal's sole leader. Afonso turned his arms successfully against the Moors in the south, was unanimously proclaimed King of Portugal by his soldiers, and the independent Kingdom of Portugal was born. In 1336, the reign of Afonso IV has so far seen peace with his neighbors, but that could change overnight.
The plague is coming. As a noble in your king's service, you must get ready to face the impending pandemic. Visit your towns to develop your industry and oversee improvements. Within a few months, prepare.
Although the first High King of Ireland arose in the 7th century, the clans continued to fight among themselves, leaving them ill-prepared to deal with invading enemies. The Vikings in the 10th century, and in 1169, the English. Still unwavering, the clan chiefs led by the great Taoiseach in the west fought hard against their English overlords until, by the late 13th century, the invaders had either been driven out or switched sides to join the Irish. Now, in 1336, the Irish people are ready to take control of their own destiny. The Pope is the Bishop of Rome, but nowhere is it written that he has to stay there. During the 14th century, 7 popes, all French, resided in Avignon. From here, Pope Benedict XII has his eye on the safety of his papal states in Italy. Granted to the Holy See long ago by King Pepin, that favor was repaid by Pope Leo III in 800, when Charlemagne captured Rome, and the Pope crowned him emperor. After centuries of cooperation, however, Rome once again is the goal for the Holy Roman Emperors, who are taking matters into their own hands. Pope Benedict will have to find a way to fend them off. Aragon began as a vassal of Charlemagne's realm, but by 1285, large swaths of Iberia had been conquered from the Moors, and in 1150, the Kingdom of Aragon was born. Still trying to find its identity in newly Christianized territory, the Kingdom of Aragon struggled to stay strong and retain its independence. The marriage of Aragon's Queen Petronilla to the Count of Barcelona in 1140 brought those two realms together, and now King Alfonso XI lays claim to Barcelona, Provence, Montpellier, and Sardinia, claims that will only be respected when they're backed up by his armies. After his victory over the Magyars in 955, Boleslaus I of Bohemia was allowed by Emperor Otto the Great to create an autonomous state within the Holy Roman Empire. The first crowned king of Bohemia was the Premyslid Duke Vladislav II. But in 1310, the House of Luxembourg was invited to take the throne by marrying the Premyslid heiress Elizabeth to John I of Bohemia. Now a power in its own right, and lording it over the neighboring Duchy of Austria, Bohemia's capital town of Prague has flourished, and blind King John's sightless eyes seem fixed on even greater power. Venice was created in the 5th century when Germanic invaders forced locals to flee to islands and nearby lagoons. In 917, they murdered their leader Paolo Lucio Anafesto during an uprising, then chose their own leaders, starting with Ursus, the first of 117 elected doges. When Venice hoped Emperor Leo III recover Ravenna, it was granted its independence, developing into a flourishing trade center. After a brief taste of imperial power with the capture of Constantinople, however, the Council of Ten may consider forging an empire again.
The plague is coming. As a noble in your king's service, you must get ready to face the impending pandemic. Visit your towns to develop your industry and oversee improvements. Within a few months, prepare to defend your holdings from enemy raids. Soon you can start to cautiously expand, but beware of rival lords from your own kingdom until you are powerful enough to fight for the throne.
Tribes ruled Scotland until the Great Celt, Cned MacAlpin, invaded in the 10th century. In 1292, John Balliol was the first king of Scotland to be acknowledged by the crowned heads of Europe. And, as the English worked to undermine his kingdom, he forged the old alliance with France. Then, in 1320, the world's first known Declaration of Independence, the Declaration of Arbroath, was blessed by the Pope. But that won't stop England. It's up to Scotland's King David II to defend his people's hard-won